What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my Warzone top 5 overpowered guns you guys need to be using. These are going to be some incredible loadouts that are going to allow you to dominate Al Mazrah here in Warzone. It's very easy to build the gun wrong and to not have the correct setup of attachments. So I'm here to give you guys all the tunes, the attachments, and everything you guys need. So if you enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. All right, so hop into this here. I'm going to be telling you guys just real quick what I normally speaking run on all my setups. My tactical is usually speaking a stun grenade or a smoke grenade, depending on how I'm feeling on the day. Stuns are super effective. Smokes can get you out of a tight situation, so those are pretty useful. The Semtex is usually speaking what I run for my lethal, and then the weapon specialist is what I run because you can't really edit your own perk package here, unfortunately. So I pretty much always run the weapon specialist, and that's that. So let's get into our first gun here today. And we have to take a look here at the Fennec 45. This is probably the best secondary SMG to run in the entirety of the game right now. So first thing I want to get here, the X10 RR40 is our first attachment. Sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Overall, a fantastic attachment here on this gun. Got extended damage range, really helps smooth out the recoil, which is something you definitely need on the Fennec 45. And the tune on here is going to be a plus 0.45 and a plus 0.35 there, helping stabilize this gun out while still maintaining a lot of bullet velocity, which is really good. After that, we're going to go down here to the underbarrel section. We're on the FSS Shark Fin 90, aiming idle stability increase, and this thing has no cons, which is incredible. We don't really want to be running a lot of cons here on this gun, and I love running the Shark Fin 90. I've ran on a variety of guns beforehand, and this works out really nicely. The tune on this thing here is a negative 0.49 and a plus 0.17 there on the bottom. Definitely try that out. Next up, got to go up in here, the VLK Laser 7MW, a fantastic attachment for a variety of different guns here. Aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. I've ran this on plenty of ARs, you know, for multiplayer. Even in Warzone, you can run this. I mean, on any SMG, this is going to work out great. So this is just a solid attachment pretty much all around. After that, we're gonna go to the stock section here. My face cam's kind of covering that, but the F-Tac Loctite stock, crouch movement speed, sprint speed, and aim down sight speed. Like I've said about other attachments, I mean, they're all just really great here. I mean, you got crouch movement speed, which we don't care too much about, but that sprint speed, ADS speed was huge on this thing, and you lose a tad bit of recoil control, but that's entirely okay, as this is just a great attachment otherwise. And that's going to be that. Apart from, you know, the Fennec 45 mag here, just increase that base magazine ammo capacity from 30 to 45. So that's my full build here. Definitely try it out. This is without a doubt probably the best SMG in Warzone right now. Next up here, we're going to be taking a look at a tried and true AR that's got very, very little recoil to minimal, almost zero recoil, the TAC 56. This is a gun that I think a lot of people absolutely love, and for good reason, as it's just super, super solid. So let's get into the attachments for it. This is my kind of overall general full builds here. Now let's get to explain to you guys why I'm using these attachments. So the very first one here is going to be the Echoless 80 suppressor, sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Definitely kind of does the same thing as the X10, but this is going to be for ARs, so this is a really great option. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 1.08 and a plus 0.45 there on the bottom, overall stabilizing the gun out, which is definitely needed. We want to make sure this is as much of a laser beam as possible. After that, we're going to go to the barrel section. We're going to run the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel. That increase in damage range, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity. Definitely still need that here in Warzone. A bullet velocity increase and damage range increase is always awesome. It doesn't help with the recoil control, which I really wish this barrel would, but otherwise this is a fantastic option. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.27 and a plus 0.12 there on the bottom, so try that out. Now moving down here to the underbarrel section, the F-Tac Ripper 56. Aiming idle stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. The hipfire accuracy is kind of one of those things that's not necessarily needed, but it's always just nice to have in case you kind of get caught in a situation where you can't switch over to your secondary fast enough, and you gotta have to like hip fire just a little bit. And it also kind of helps you if you have to fire and you're kind of slowly aiming down sights, it'll close in that spread a little bit, so it can be pretty beneficial. But this is a great grip here. Otherwise, the tune on this can be a plus 0.54 and a plus 0.17, so definitely try that out. Of course, down here on the bottom, we got to increase that base magazine ammo capacity up to 60 rounds. I am a 60-round mag kind of guy, so I love running the 60, but it really kind of only works for Warzone, not as much for multiplayer. You don't really need a lot of magazine increase for multiplayer, just for Warzone though. Sometimes it feels like you take people out in 2 shots versus you have to put an entire mag into someone. It's kind of a little bit crazy like that. And then for our last attachment, we have the AIM Op V4. This is just an incredible red dot-ish style sight to be able to run. You don't necessarily need like a 3 or 4 times optic. Some people like running the VLK 4 times. I've seen a large shift over to people almost exclusively running this, and for good reason, because it's super easy to be able to see through. It's not too much magnification. It's just pretty much like the right amount for how like the actual range of these guns. And the actual tune on this here is gonna be negative 1.55 and a negative 1.65 there on the bottom. So definitely try this out. TAC 56, top tier AR. Now let's move on to our next gun. For our next gun, we have to take a look here at the RPK. I'm sure everybody and their mom that's watching this video has been killed by an RPK here in Warzone, so I'm here to give you guys the best setup for you possibly to run on it and to be able to use before it does get nerfed here come Season 2. Well, even though Season 2 is kind of delayed potentially, you definitely should be using this before it gets nerfed. So here's gonna be kind of my overview on these attachments. Now let's actually get into it and show you guys what I'm using. First thing, got the Polar Fire -S. This is sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, recoil smoothness, pretty much like all the other two suppressors we ran, the X10 and the Echoless. This is like the same thing for this gun, so definitely want to run that. The tune on this is going to be maxed out for recoil smoothness and a plus 0.35 there on the bottom. This is one of the first attachments I've maxed out on any category, so just kind of keep that in mind. Maxing them out can be beneficial sometimes, but more often than not, it is not beneficial. This is just one of those few instances where it actually can be pretty beneficial. After that, going down here to the underbarrel section, the F-Tac Ripper 56 here once again. Aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. Just overall really great here. It stabilizes the gun out beautifully. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.80 max out for recoil stabilization and a plus 0.30 there on the bottom. We're not really trying to speed this gun up too much. We're just trying to make sure it's an absolute laser beam with that beautiful 75 round mag. The tune on this thing, or actually not my bad, not the tune, but moving down here to the next thing is going to be the ammunition, which is the 7.62 high velocity rounds. This increases your bullet velocity. It says this negatively affects your damage range. You really don't notice it all that much. And the tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.38 to increase that damage range to, bolster it back up once again, and a plus 0.35 there on the bottom, helping increase its overall bullet velocity, make this thing super, super effective at range. After that, we're going to get here to the rear grip section, the Demo X2 grip. Just that got to increase that recoil control. Some people don't necessarily run a rear grip, or they don't run an underbarrel. They kind of switch some stuff out. I personally think this is great to be able to stabilize the gun out, so I like running the Demo X2. The tune on this can be a plus 0.81 and a plus 0.20, so definitely give it a shot. And then for our final attachment up here, once again, the AIM Op-V4. Like I said previously, this is just such a clear sight to be able to use. I don't believe you need a 3.4, which is like the Schlager 3.4 or the VLK 4x. I just believe that this is an incredible sight here to run on pretty much all of your longer range guns. And then the tune on this is going to be a negative 1.55 there and a negative 1.65 on the bottom. So definitely give this a shot here before it gets nerfed, because this thing will definitely be catching a hot nerf come Season 2. Now jumping into our next gun here, the Chimera. So this is just such a great sniper sport gun. It's not like a real long range gun. If you're trying to run a sniper, you're trying to have like a nice sniper sport kind of like mid-range gun, this is going to be the gun for you. This is an incredible AR to be able to run, and so let's hop into it. All right, so here's gonna be my base overview of these attachments, but we're gonna get into explaining everything here as of why I'm using it. So first thing is gonna be the SA Leveler 55s, and as you can tell, there's no sort of description here, but it's for horizontal and vertical recoil control. That's what it actually does. If I scrolled off, it shows something else, then re-chose it. You guys would be able to like actually see or not re-choose it. It's kind of weird. Nice glitch in Warzone. We love glitches. Anyways, that's gonna be the first attachment there, but the tune on this thing here is gonna be a negative or a plus 0.57 there, my bad, and a plus 0.23 there on the bottom. Definitely have to stabilize this thing out, as we want to make sure it's super effective for that medium-ish range which you're gonna be using it, because you have obviously a sniper more or less if you're running this. After that, we're gonna go up here to the barrel section. The 10 SA Phoenix, damage range increase, bullet velocity, hipfire accuracy, and recoil control. Really great things here to be able to run. By the way, this variant is beautiful. I love it. It's like the Damascus variant that came to the shop, for any of you guys that are going to be wondering. And the tune on this is going to be a plus 0.40 and a plus 0.22 there on the bottom, still stabilizing the gun out and increasing its damage range. After that, underbarrel, F-Tac Ripper 56 here once again. Ain't got to explain this one too much. You guys kind of know the drill on that one, but just one of my favorite underbarrels to run here, even in multiplayer, for instance. I love running the F-Tac Ripper 56. And then the tune is gonna be a plus 0.52 and a plus 0.31. But obviously, if I'm playing multiplayer, my tunes and my builds and everything are gonna be drastically different, as I'm a lot more focused on mobility, not as much recoil steadiness and range like you would be here for Warzone. After that, got to go down here and increase the magazine size from that base 30 up to 45. I prefer if there's like maybe a 50 or a 60, but we're going to kind of live with this here at 45. This is going to work out beautifully, and of course, you cannot tune a magazine. And then to finish off this build here, we got the Cronin Mini Pro. This is my ideal red dot sight. This is from leveling up the Expedite shotgun to level 7. Definitely do that. This is the blue dot, red dot sight. hugely beneficial to be able to actually have this available to your guns. If not, you can run something like the Cronin Mini Red Dot. It's not going to be the end of the world here, or the SC Mini, or any of these other actual red dots, but this is by far, in my opinion, the best one to be able to use. It's the clearest when you're kind of looking at stuff, having that blue instead of red. Sometimes red can blend in with your surroundings a little bit easier, and blue is just so distinct. It's easy to be able to kind of make stuff out around it. And the tune on this thing here is going to be a negative 1.35 and a negative 2.25 there on the bottom. And for you guys that are wondering here about, the far versus close, far positions the optic as far away from you as possible. Closer brings it closer to you. It's better to have it farther away just because that means that you have less visual recoil. It also allows you to see more kind of what's around the sight when you're looking around, which is definitely a big thing. You got to be able to be aware of what's around you. So huge thing. Keep it far away. So that's my full builds here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Now we're going to move on to our final gun in this top 5. Our final gun here, we're taking a look at the WZ2 9K. This is such a good gun here to be able to run in Warzone 2. It's great for ground loot. It's great when you actually put it on your loadouts. So I got a great sniper support based version of this thing. That's going to be super beneficial. You can run it as just a regular secondary, but also it's going to have some range to it. So that's going to be super useful. So let's get into it. All right, you guys can see my base general sort of attachments here. Now let's get in here and explain everything. First attachment, X10 RR40. You guys know kind of the drill on how this actually does work, so I'm not going to explain this one. The tune on this is going to be a plus 0.45 there and a plus 0.35 on the bottom, so give that a shot. Next up, barrel section, the CAS-130 CAS-1 381 millimeter barrel. That's kind of crazy how they put that together like that. But anyways, damage range increase, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity. This is a great barrel to be able to run here to extend your overall, obviously range with it. It's going to slow you down a tad bit, but don't worry about that, as this is very much so beneficial to run on this gun. The tune on this is going to be a plus 0.32 and a plus 0.22. So there's that. And then now we're going to move over here to the laser section for the FSS OLE-V laser. Much like the 7MW laser, this is pretty much the same thing, but just a bit of a different name. So ADS speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. The con is that if its laser is visible upon ADS, so you kind of have to be a bit aware if you're going to be corner camping with this thing and you're trying to aim at a door or something like that. If the door is open and your laser is going through that door, someone may be able to see it on the wall. So just kind of take that into consideration. That if you're trying to play like a rat, this is probably not a good thing to sit in the corner with. Otherwise, I mean, actually, maybe it might be, so that'll help people see where you're at. So don't play like a rat. Anyways, moving down here to the magazine, 45 round mag. Got to increase it from the base 30 to 45. This is kind of what we do. It's beneficial to do that. I mean, you need that extra ammo in Warzone if you're taking out 2, 3, 4 people at a time. 4 people at once would be kind of ridiculous considering the TTK in this game, and you're bound to go down before that. But otherwise, you guys get what I'm saying. It's good to have that increase. And then for our last attachment, the Demo X2, that recoil control increase, it just helps out, kind of stabilize the gun out, as this is a sniper sport. If you're trying to go for something more like close range, you'd probably go for the True Tac grip. But otherwise, since we're trying to use this for sniper sport, you got to go for that. The tune on this could be negative 0.61 and a negative 0.10 there on the bottom. So that's gonna be that. That's my full top 5. That's my full build. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a like, subscribe, and also check on these other videos here on screen. Just on Triple Cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.